Now, tune in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to fight entitlement. When you find that entitlement creeping in on you, what can you do about it to make sure you do not fall victim? We'll get into that momentarily. First of all, everybody, I have a daily motivation text that I send out free of charge every day to everyone who is in my texting community. If you would like to receive that message, guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point, here's what you do. Text me at my number right now, which is 305-384-6894. And every day when I send out that daily motivation text, since you are in my texting community, you'll be receiving that message, guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point every single day. And the other thing you can do while you're on your phone is go to workonyourgame.com/30 and get started on my 30 Days to Discipline course, so that you can start following through on everything that you begin. Stop leaving things undone and half done, and build that trust in yourself, or regain that trust in yourself. You used to have it, but you lost it because you keep telling yourself you're going to do stuff and not doing it. So I'm going to help you follow through on the things that you start, so that you can stop feeling like you can't even trust your own word. That's at workonyourgame.com/30 for my 30 Days to Discipline course. You can also text me, I'll give you that link if you forgot it already, but it is listed down in the show notes, so you shouldn't have to text me. Now, fighting entitlement. I explained how we are in the era of entitlement in episode number 2289. I also explained in episode number 1959 how entitlement hurts you. So now we're going to talk about how to actually prevent it. Now that you understand it is an issue, what can we do about it? So I'm going to explain how to fight the effects of anyone, whether it's you or someone else, trying to push you into this era or mindset of entitlement, since it is becoming so common and so popular. Because you have to fight against this the same way you fight against the effect of gravity pulling you down to the ground. Okay, you got to fight against entitlement pulling you down into loserdom, because entitled people become victims when they're not getting the things that they believe they are entitled to, and victims are losers. The definition of entitlement is the fact of having a right to something. It's not actually a fact, but it's the thought of having a right to something is what I would call it. But definition says the fact, fine, call it what you want to call it. You don't have a right to anything unless you have it. I already told you that, and I'll even tell you what episode that was. That was when I talked about deserving. The episode on deserve, this whole deserve, DRV, I'm spelling the word wrong. All right. Episode 2112, you only deserve it when you have it. Point number one, topic again today is how to fight entitlement. Number one, plan to earn everything that you need, and all handouts that you receive are nothing but lucky bonuses. They are gravy, they are extra, they are what we call found money. Like, you find money on the ground, all right, it's your money, yes, but you weren't planning on that money. Like, you weren't planning to pay for your food, clothing, shelter with that money. You found it, it's extra. Okay, so any handouts that you get is extra. They are not owed to you. You earn everything that you need and everything that you end up getting. We all enjoy it when we get lucky. All right, who doesn't like getting lucky? Is there any person listening to this who does not enjoy getting lucky and wouldn't be happy to get lucky every now and then in life? Of course, everybody likes getting lucky. That's fine. And when something in the form of an opportunity or a success falls into our lap, and it was mostly not a result of our doing or our planning, all right, fine, that's luck. That's cool. And luck happens to everybody. These things will happen. But understand, you can't sit around waiting for them. You definitely don't sit around waiting for them. You really can't plan them, and you can't force them to happen. You also never know when they're going to show up. So when you get lucky and an opportunity falls in your lap, be thankful for the opportunity that falls in your lap. Do take advantage of the opportunity that fell in your lap, while at the same time be clear. You want to have clear strategic plans to achieve everything that you wish to achieve through your own efforts and merits. So if lucky things happen and you're able to get further ahead because of the luck, excellent. But understand that you should have plans in place and strategies and systems in place to achieve the outcomes that you need with or without the luck. So if no luck happens in your life and you just got to go through everything straight up, you don't have any bad luck, you don't have any good luck, everything's just on a straight line, neutral, you should be able to achieve your outcomes just on a neutral plane with no luck involved at all. If your plans are not set up to get you to the outcomes that you want on a neutral plane, then that means there's something that needs to be changed about your plans. It's not that you need to get more luck. It's not that you need to be looking at the universe like, hey, universe, when you going to make me lucky like you made everybody else lucky? Stop looking at the food on other people's plates. Look at what you're doing. Look at your process. Look at your plans. And if your plans are not sufficient to get you to where you want to go, then that means we need to fix your plans. Doesn't mean we need to fix the world. Doesn't mean we need to fix other people. We need to fix your plans if your plans are not set up to help you get to the success that you want. This is the extreme ownership that I talk about when I explain to you the 12 work on your game commandments, which was in episode number 2219 through 2222. And I explained the commandments of work on your game. Number 1 is extreme ownership. You take ownership of your situation. You take ownership of everything that you're doing, everything that you're not doing, everything that happens to, for, or through you, you take ownership of. And luck is not something that you don't take ownership of luck because you can't control it. You have no idea when it's coming. Now, whatever does happen, whatever the situation becomes, you take ownership of that as it is and you deal with it from where it's at. All the extras are bonuses. Everybody got me? Let the extras and bonuses happen as they do, but you don't sit around waiting for nor expecting them. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to fight entitlement. Number 2, remember that the world does not owe you understanding, explanation, nor reparations for past challenges, failures, or bad luck. I think I gotta say that sentence again. Remember that the world does not owe you understanding, explanation, nor reparation for past challenges, failures, or bad luck. Let me say this in another way, in more plain English for the slow-minded people listening. Shit happens, and you got to deal with it. That's life. If you want an idea to help you, that will help you take solace in this point, that shit happens, understand shit happens to everybody. All right, so when I say shit happens, it's not just to you, it happens to everybody. Now, when shit happens to you, I'm talking about kind of shit that you don't want to happen, but it does happen. You probably don't really want to hear too much about, well, it happens to everybody, but it's still logically true. It is true that shit happens to everybody. So maybe that won't make you feel that great in the moment when you're in the pain of whatever happened to you, but it does happen to everybody. Everybody has to deal with shit every now and then. All right, this is just life. I talked about this in episode number 1663. Your favorite flavor of shit sandwich. Understand that no matter what you do in life, where you go, what path you choose, success, unsuccess, anywhere in between, there's a shit sandwich you will have to eat. There is nothing you can do in life that is a perfect outcome. Thomas Sowell said this: there are no perfect outcomes in life, there are only trade-offs. So it's just a question of which trade-off do you want. You want to be single your whole life? There are trade-offs to that. You want to be married with kids? There are trade-offs. You want to have a dog? There are trade-offs. You want to own a house? There are trade-offs. You want cars? There's a trade-off. You want to never own a car and just take Uber everywhere? There's a trade-off. You want to ride your bike to work every day? There's a trade-off. You want to live in a place where you get all 4 seasons? Trade-off. You want to live in somewhere like the desert, like Phoenix, or somewhere tropical like Miami? There's a trade-off to that. Anything that you do, there's a trade-off. You want to own a business? Because you don't like having a boss, there's a trade-off. You want to have a job, so you have a guaranteed, allegedly, paycheck every 2 weeks. There's a trade-off to that. There's a trade-off to everything. There is no situation in life that is the perfect circumstance. There is some kind of shit sandwich you have to eat no matter what you choose to do in life. This is a fact. So the world does not owe you understanding, explanation, or reparation for anything that happens that is not in your favor, because everybody has to deal with it. Everyone deals with challenges, unexpected circumstances, and things going the opposite from what they expected. And everyone, because of this, has to make adjustments on the fly and figure things out, including you. You are not entitled to be made whole from situations going off course. So in other words, when things don't go the way that they're supposed to go for you, the world, nor any entity or anybody, owes you a makeup, so to speak, for the fact that things didn't go the way you wanted them to go. This is just how it is. All right, you just got to deal with it, and you got to fix it from where you're at. All right, things didn't go the way you wanted them to go. Maybe it was unfair. Maybe somebody did something that they were not supposed to do to you. You just got to deal with it. And is it fucked up? Yes, but you got to deal with it. Right now, I'm in the middle of, I'm about 80% of the way through reading this book about Bernie Madoff. It's called The Wizard of Lies. And any of you who knows anything about, especially those of you who follow the financial worlds, even if you don't, a lot of people remember the Bernie Madoff thing, I guess we'll call it, story, when it broke in 2008 going into 2009. Bernie was a money manager. Basically, people would give him their money, lots of money. He would manage it for them. He would basically invest in markets and all kinds of things that a lot of people don't really understand. He would invest in the markets and basically help people grow their money so that they could retire, have a nest egg for their kids, build their money so they could do other stuff with their money. He was a financial money manager. And what Bernie was doing, he was running his scam, basically, where he was taking one person's money and using it to pay other people. In other words, there wasn't really no money there. He was basically falsifying records and all this stuff. Long story short, in plain language, this is what he did to a whole bunch of people. People would give him their money, and the money just got burned up and lost. The money's completely gone. So imagine if, and this happened to many people, there were people who worked their entire lives and saved up $4, $5, $10, $20 million of money through their years of working and investments and all the things they had. $20 million, gave it to Bernie Madoff to manage their money. Turns out he's running a Ponzi scheme, and that $20 million is completely gone. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being 72 years old and one day you're on a newspaper, or your money manager or your bank person or your accountant calls you and says, hey, the guy who's been managing your money is running a scam the whole time, and your $20 million is completely gone, and you might get $500,000 in restitution. And that's it. Your 20 million is completely gone. This really happened to a lot of people in the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme situation. I'm bringing that up to tell you this. Shit like this happens in life to people all the time. Hopefully, maybe not on that big of a scale, and hopefully not to you, but this stuff does happen. And all of us, if you're over the age of 30, you probably had something happen in your life that you're like, this was absolutely not my fault. Somebody else did something wrong. I became the victim of someone doing something wrong. Not victim in mind, but victim in fact of someone doing something wrong. And you had to deal with it. You had to deal with that situation, even though it was not your fault and it was not your doing. Has everyone had to deal with that? If you're over 30, you've had at least one situation like that. Most of you probably had 20 situations like that if you think about it enough. And you got to deal with it. This is resilience. This is mental toughness. This is dealing with the situations as they are, even when they're not your fault. They become your responsibility because they're your life, and you have to fix it and handle it. And the fact that you are able to handle it and come back from it is actually what makes your story more interesting. So when other people go through stuff, you're the one they're going to turn to for the person who's going to tell them what they need to hear and understand so that they can build themselves back stronger the same way that you did from your situation. Everybody has to deal with this stuff. Make adjustments on the fly, figure things out, including you, including me. Your job is to be mentally tough and resilient enough to deal with things as they come, even when you don't know that they're coming. All right, this is the game of life, everybody. All right, everyone has this stuff take place. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to fight entitlement. Number 3, imbalance and unfairness is a part of life. It is baked into the system. Your job is to identify where the imbalance and unfairness can work in your favor and ethically press on your advantage. This is what we call the ethical unfair advantage, which I covered in episode number 1957. You need to identify where you have ethical unfair advantages and take advantage of them. That's what you got to do. Take advantage of your ethical unfair advantages. Where can you get an advantage over other people that gives you an edge? That again is not against the law. You're not violating anyone else's rights, but you have an advantage that other people can't beat you at. This is what you should be spending your life doing, looking for and exploiting ethical, unfair advantages. Life will never be completely fair, and there will never be a utopian society where everything is fair and balanced for everyone and outcomes are equitable. That will never happen. There are people who are building their businesses around preaching this, and they're going to be preaching it forever because it will never occur. So they'll always be fighting for something that can't ever take place. They will never achieve the outcome. They can keep preaching about it, and there's a bunch of dummies who are going to keep paying them to talk about it, but I'm not one of them, and I just want to make sure you're not one of them. All right, the good news is everybody in life has an advantage somewhere. Bad news is that many people spend so much time focusing on the areas in which they are at a disadvantage that they never find the advantage areas. They're looking at the food on other people's plates and thinking that, hey, I should have the same meal as them. No, you shouldn't. We do not and will not live in a world where everything is equal and everyone gets the same result. So anybody who's telling you that or preaching about that, that person is a charlatan. Usually these are very smart people who know better, but they pretend as if they don't because they're preaching to a bunch of people who actually don't know better. So they're preaching to dummies and they're selling the dummies on their own ignorance. That's what these people are doing. These are not dumb people who are doing the sales pitches. They're dumb people who are buying it, but it's not dumb people who are selling it. So we don't live in a world where everything's going to get the same outcome. If we did, we would all be robots and no humans. With all of our differences and uniqueness and free will, we would be unnecessary because we're too different. We can't predict the outcomes of humans. You can predict the outcomes of robots. The fact that we are all unique and different and can think, act, and choose as we wish naturally leads to unique and different outcomes. So two different humans are not going to get the same outcome even if you gave them all the same everything. Two people growing up in the same house at the same age are going to get different outcomes because they're different people. They're wired differently. So you are not entitled to the same outcomes as anyone else. And it doesn't even make sense for you to even expect that. So stop expecting it if you have been expecting it. This is where entitlement comes from. You're looking at someone else's outcome and saying, well, I should have the same outcome. Well, no, you shouldn't, because you're not them. Even if you're from the same place, even if you're from the same neighborhood, even if you went to the same schools and got the same everything as them, you are wired different. You made a different set of decisions. You made a different set of choices. You have a different energy. You have different everything from them. Only thing that was the same was the external things. What all the internal stuff? The stuff that's going on in your mind is what makes you unique. It's not necessarily all the external stuff. It's the stuff going on in your head, which leads to a whole bunch of differences between you and other people. Again, two twins could grow up in the same house, same family, same clothes, same everything, and get completely different outcomes in life. Why? Because they make different choices. You can't legislate choices. You can't legislate decision making. You can't legislate thinking. People are trying, but they'll fail. You can't legislate these things. People are always going to get different stuff. So stop looking at what everybody else has and allowing yourself to feel entitled that you should have what somebody else should have, and don't allow anybody to make you believe something's wrong with you because you have something that they don't have. Well, there's a set of decisions that was made by you, maybe by the people around you, maybe by your parents, maybe by people 2 generations before you that put you in a different situation than somebody else, and that's the way it's supposed to be. We call that life. Let's recap today's class, which says how to fight entitlement. I explained how we are in the entitlement era in episode 2289. So then I'm going to explain how you can fight the effects of this taking over your mind so that you don't become a person who is looking for a reason to feel like a victim, because victims are losers, and I don't tolerate losers over here at Work on Your Game. Point number 1. Plan to earn everything you need with all handouts coming as lucky bonuses. Like, find the money on the ground, treat them as bonuses, but your strategic plan should be set up to be sufficient for you to achieve all your outcomes without any bonuses. Number 2, remember that the world does not owe you understanding, explanation, or reparation for past challenges, failures, or bad luck. In other words, shit happens. Shit happens to everybody. You have to have the resilience and the mental toughness to deal with the shit and keep going. Everybody has to eat a shit sandwich. There are no perfect outcomes in life, only trade-offs. Number 3, imbalance and unfairness is a natural part of life. It is baked into the human system. Your job is to identify where the imbalance and unfairness works in your favor and press on that advantage, which is what everybody does every single day. Just some people are willing to say it out loud, like I am right now, and other people act like they don't have an advantage when they absolutely do. And again, they're playing the dummies for dummies. They're playing the dummies for exactly what they are. But these are smart people who try to act like they don't understand this concept. They very well understand it, just won't say it out loud because it will affect their employment. We do not and will not live in a world where everything is equal and everybody gets the same results. That will never occur. That will only happen in those simulations with robots. It will never happen with humans, because humans have free will, free choice, and we're all wired differently, and you cannot legislate thinking. And thinking is the root of all outcomes. How we think leads to people's outcomes. You can't make people think a certain way. This is why you cannot get 2 people to get the exact same outcome, because you can't control their thoughts. So you're not entitled to the same outcomes as another person, nor is another person entitled to the same outcomes as you. Do not allow yourself to think this way, and do not allow anyone to shame you into thinking that you need to think this way because they are too dumb to understand what I'm explaining here today. Just send them a link to this episode. All that said, text me to get my daily motivation free of charge straight to your phone every single day. My number is 305-384-6894. And then go to workonyourgame.com/30 and get started in my 30 days of discipline course. You can follow through on everything you start. Have the discipline and commitment to be more consistent and stop costing yourself self-trust because you're not following through. That's workonyourgame.com/30. Work on your game. Dre all day.